and he's currently using a 15-inch Obsession. Again, we feel sorry for him. It was gifted to him by a friend, and I know how that feels.
Yeah. I'd rather
Peter's
have the
worked
friend.
as a graphics designer since 1979, and he produced his first published version of this book 22 years ago. Now, this is a little secret. He told me that his greatest accomplishment was meeting Gypsy Rose Lee, the stripper, and Fess Parker, who played Davy Crockett, as a child. Well, I totally disagree. I really have appreciated his book. Please give a warm welcome to Peter Buren.
Hello. Thank you for having me. Yeah, thanks for the invite. This is the AA meeting, right? Amateurs Astronomer. Astronomers Anonymous. That's it. That's it. I blew that one. Yeah, I've and thank you to all the members who have ordered a copy of Objects in the Heavens. You really make, the effort worthwhile, the effort that I put into it. The first version only took about 3,000 hours, to develop. And that didn't include time out in the field. I wasn't that weird. So you gave me a little bit, Dave, you gave me a little bit of an intro. Let me just, I'll just fill you in on who I am. I'm turning 77 this year, geez. But I've been on my own as a marketing designer, a graphic designer since 75, earned 16 National Design Awards, never missed a deadline, invented a little thing called the link knife. Cuts a string, that's all it does, cuts a string. It's very simple, 1/2 ounce of weight. And so NASA used 4 of them on every X-38 space station lifeboat. And it was also used on the Project Stardust to cut away the parachute when it came in for a landing, or crashing, as it were. And got the National Aeronautics Association Safety Award in, oh geez, what year was it? 2002, I think it was. Same year I developed the book. I've been a Cub Master, Scout Master, hang glider pilot for about 30 years, a little over that. And I'm the author of Objects in the Heavens and its companion, the Goals Log and Sketchbook, for lack of a better name. Let me, allow me, if you will, to share my screen with you. I have a little prepared thing to, that'll walk you through some of the my adventures in astronomy and what I'm doing with it.
This looks good.
Excuse me, if you're online and you're not speaking, if you please go on mute, we'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Peter.
Here's the cover of the latest iteration of OITH 6.5, which I'm sure most of you have, except you've got the white coil, but that's okay. That is my F8 1974 Edmund Scientific Super Sky Ranger, which served me well for almost 20 years. It was just a wonderful scope. That's a hardened tripod equatorial mount there that I made great use of. That Edmund Scientific mount was rather heavy and clunky to carry along. But before I really get into it, this is the obsession that I had out last night. I had a couple of friends of mine had never seen look through a telescope before, and they were curious. And so they came over, I set it up. We had halfway decent skies, even with the moon. And all I heard was, "Oh, wow. Oh, look at this." As the wife was kind of moving around just a little bit, I showed her how to move it and got my my version of the Denver Astronomy seat there, and fully adjustable. And when we were looking overhead at a couple of things, she's kind of diminutive, and so I lowered that down, and she stood on that and was able to get in. We had a good time last night. Somebody's making some noise back in there. There's some feedback.
Yeah. So,
Mute everyone, please.
All right. That sounds pretty good. Okay. And this is how I started out. Laying on a park bench, on a picnic table, looking up with my binoculars and not knowing what the heck I was looking at. And it just got me just to the core. And, you know, okay, what the heck's up there? And this is kind of what I was thinking at the time, but then I started in a process of collecting objects. What did I see? What do I want to see? What can I see? And you know, a friend gave me the Edmund Scientific scope, and so I started just putting together a little better list using my computer wiles. But here is really what started the project. Is first of all is the curiosity and to fill in my frustrations. Incomplete resources? Yeah, I sat down in a variety of libraries and was looking at all the different books and publications, and just, there'd be a whole list of galaxies. Well, okay, that's what the galaxies are available now, this season. But what about the globular clusters and the open clusters and the nebulas? So what I found were incomplete resources.
Yeah, so it's a great point. And after I was done with the packs, the thing that
on Zoom, please go on. Not talking, presenting.
People in Palestine, which of course a lot of in Gaza, which of course a lot of everybody has concern.
Gary, can you take care of that? Can you mute that person, please?
They completely flipped the script on this.
I'll try. Let me see if I can figure out who it is.
They actually care about
Just mute all.
in this case, they're talking about Iran. They're cheering the armed military.
Thank you.
So in that frustration, you can imagine a newbie looking at a chart like this and saying, excuse me, what is this and why? And I had nobody to deal with at the time. And so I started looking around some more, and uranometria, boy, objects to Mag 15, I'll never see that with that telescope, as I learned different things. Norton's just didn't focus on the objects well enough for me. Taki's Mag 7 project was nice, but still a little confusing. Still had to highlight the objects in some way to get about where I was looking for. And so here was the rationale for continuing with the book after the first edition. Basically every day turned up something, quote, new for me. And so I set the initial parameters at magnitude 10, northern hemisphere, just to limit it and to make it handy. After going through the entire Burnham's and trying to understand his abbreviations as they were, it just got too unwieldy. So few abbreviations, but hopefully lots of detail. And then the formatting, very important. And then the bottom line, what is it and where is it? And because when you're at the telescope, you want to swing around to see something and don't want to have to spend 10 minutes in figuring out what the abbreviations were for. So here are the contents that have progressively developed, and you can just see what's all there. I don't need to read them all. The moon was the latest one added because it's Earth's night light and it takes up half of a month. So, but we did get a good shot of the moon last night, so that was interesting. And so here is my attempt at organization, at detail, and including just that'll help me and help you and help the reader at the scope. This is after a number of people have made comments and I've made changes and corrections. So this each listing page on the left side is organized into stars, carbon stars or red, and double stars, messier objects, NGCs, and then others, non-NGC objects, which we'll get into in a little bit. The maps, obviously a lot different than Taki's and the others. I came up with my own sort of code symbols. The circles indicate those objects that are brighter than Mag 7, and it may just make it easier to look for. I got a little symbol you can see here. Hopefully this comes up here. V Cygnus has a little R symbol, registered mark, but that's for red. And so to be able to more easily highlight and find the red stars, as well as the other ones. It just something that tickled my fancy. Monoceros is the invisible unicorn, and it's one of several constellation maps that has a very busy area, too busy for just a straight map like this. So I went in tighter on the head area to define better what objects are available around there. And then you can see how you could sweep and move down and pick up and maybe not miss a certain object. Starting off in the book though, I've got the front area divided into 4 sections, which is, general and the major stars list, the moon, and then seasonal maps. And then the back half of the book is the other thing. I want to mention just on the introduction page and give a hat tip to Sidney J. Harris. He was a columnist, long now past, for the Chicago Sun-Times, and he wrote an occasional article called Things I Learned on the Way to Learning Other Things. And I think that really sums up what, how I got into this book and what happened. And I do believe that, it still drives my curiosity, and I hope it drives yours, because when you get into it, the listings I have, the detail is not that great. So if you want to learn more about an object, well, you've got the start here, things you learn on the way to learning other things. How the book is organized and what constellations that I have listed out of the 88. Total entries, including stars, 1,086. And only some 750 deep sky objects to Mag 10. So doing pretty good, especially when version 1 had, I think, 230 objects. And I thought I was doing pretty good there. And then it just kept going and going and going. This is a spread of my own making, Star Stories. This spread was driven by my participation at public outreach sessions and star parties, trying to remember all the constellation names, especially the little ones. For example, down here I have, within the summer triangle, there's the toy store, which starts with Lyra, Vulpecula, Sagitta, Delphinus, and Equus, which is the lyra, the harp, the fox, the arrow, the dolphin, and the little horse. I had a very difficult time remembering that, so I came up with this line. But the summer triangle, very obvious in the summertime. I'll get to that something else on that in a minute. The winter triangle over here in Home from the Hunt, which works in a story for the uninitiated, so to speak, to bring in some 4 different objects and 9 constellations within this. So you don't have to, when you're out with somebody who doesn't really know what's up in the sky, you can bring it into them. But coming over here, the football game, playing with Hercules and Booties, playing with the ball is Corona Borealis. Just some sort of goofy ideas and things I had in mind. And I'd like to take a look at over by the spine here, the 3 leaps of the gazelle. I had never seen, I had seen those doubles before, but never really noticed them. And a friend of mine pointed out that, yeah, that's an ancient grouping. It's like 3 leaps of the gazelle. So check that out next time you're looking at Ursa Major, and you'll never unsee it. So moving on, I want to point out a little bit here and a little bit here. And we're going to take the big bird. And this is something I found late one summer at a place that had just horizon to horizon views. It was wonderful in Cullum, Illinois. And I just was following the Arcturus, and I noticed it just bounced right up and made the other half of the wing to Big Bird. And again, this is one I can't unsee. And it brings together several constellations and major stars. And if you look for it this summer, late in the summer and early fall, you won't miss it. And my other contribution, my other finding, is a new way to find Polaris using the summer triangle as half of the diamond. And this is the summer diamond. So you take these two, and the middle point just points right to Polaris, and it lasts until fall, when Ursa Major is, for me, in southern Kentucky, is below the horizon. So I can't use Ursa Major, the Big Dipper. But this is still in the sky, and no matter where it is, of course, because it rotates around Polaris. So those are 2 things that I've discovered. So those are my, where am I going here? My contributions to astronomy. I'm sure Phil Harrington will love to play with this one once I tell him about it. So within the book itself, going for the big picture, going for the little picture, the big picture and the details, how to measure the sky, how it works. I had almost a 20-year problem trying to figure out what the heck was meant by right ascension. And all it means really is you're facing north and everything comes up or ascends on your right. How hard can that be? But all the books I had talked around it and never got to it. And so that's what I had to put that in for. And a lot of other details. I'm sure that those of you who have a copy of the book have been through this. I hope you have. I hope the filter section helps in some cases, grading the sky when it comes to, what kind of, also that we all get on the same page and you get help with your own scope. I pay short shrift to the planets, but they're there and can't miss them. And I just last year added the new moons added to Jupiter and Saturn. So we're at 92 with Jupiter and 145 moons to Saturn. Can you believe it? And we still have only one. This I'll let you go, but can you imagine? Stephenson 218 is this, the sun is just incredible. And our sun, what, 1 billion of our suns will fit inside Stephenson 218. So if you follow this down, you get quite a, I couldn't put them to scale, obviously. This book isn't just for that. Some star names, what they do. Star types, I added this about 2 years ago, the OBAFGKM for their colors. I think that's kind of silly, but that's the way they do it, and try to get some more information on that. Double stars, carbon stars, description of what the major objects are, Messier index, and just a suggested Messier marathon list. So mid March, when you're out for the all-nighter, this is one way to find it. As I mentioned, the cross-reference list and the other than NGC objects, quite a few, and it just kept coming on. And by the way, if anyone has a question within this, I'd appreciate a field a question as I'm going along. So, but let me continue. We get into common names and stars. meteor showers and the colors, what colors and what the chemical element is for that. So I added this about, I think it was last year in 6.4, I added that. And then I had tip again to Alan Dyer, helped me on the moon section. My initial one had very small images of the moons, and he said, we got to get them bigger. So I worked with him a bit on that and got them bigger. And using the list, where is the list? I don't have the list here. Okay, but in the book, I have the whole list of the Astronomy League's 100 objects on the moon, and I've added 12 others that just within discussions and various websites and different people that they thought were important objects to include. Then we have the summer, fall, winter, spring. Yes, Princess. Some of you will remember her from the Howdy Doody show, right? So each season has its own general map where the Milky Way flows with that. So I used this yesterday to plan out my viewing, first bit of viewing, what's going to be visible for, just to pick out the 5 biggest ones, for the grand tour for these folks who came by. But you can also use this spread, as these are all Mag 7 or brighter objects, all for that season, and then gives you the page numbers for the different constellations. When we get back into the book, towards the back, I mentioned exploding an area like this area up here in Virgo, the realm of the galaxies. I have, I want to mention in Virgo, down here, I have a couple of 10.4, 10.5, 10.3 objects, because I had the room to add them. They're not a major feature of the book, but once you're out, if you got the right skies, you may as well hit them. But I made this particular inset for Virgo because there's just so much there for everybody of every scope type. From the brightest of M84 and M86 and M90, those are just magnificent. But how do you really find them? Well, between Denibola at the tail of Leo to Vindamayatrix in Virgo, those two, let's go back up here. Denibola is here, Vindamayatrix right there. And right in between, smack dab in between, right on a line, is 84 and 86, and you can't miss these twins. And if depending on how clear a scope you have, how clear your night, you'll actually have a clown face smiling at you here when you get on it. It's really cute. And this is a sweeping line that I came up with. For me, it's pretty obvious. But if you start out here at 84 and 86 and make a backward C, or starting at the bottom and working way to the top, you'll catch in about 14 different galaxies. And then bringing it around the other way, if you have a push to, you hit, these other majors. Then you can go back to 84 and 86 and draw a straight line through these others and not miss a trick, and then go from there and pick up these other ones that are in the mag 10.5 to 12. And then these crosses are 12 to 15. So if you can really get in there, there's so much to see. So that's within the Virgo chain. After that, I added the sketching rings. There's 5 pages of those. That helped me considerably when I first started. I remember spending almost an hour with the beehives of Praesepe in Libra, just because the pattern of stars was just so incredible, and I had to draw it out. And consequently, I've done other sketches, not very good in my own opinion, but it really helped me. And since doing that, I was urged by a couple of readers to make a separate book for sketching. So this one outlines, I worked with a variety of different lists and how to set this up. So here's a goals list for a given night, or just ones you want to look at, and what time you see it, etc. And then you get into the drawings and you can detail that and really keep it what you see in the eyepiece and what you actually, or in the viewfinder and what you see in the eyepiece. So that, I hope that has will do users some good. Sold a couple hundred of them too. So currently, OITH by the numbers, quite a lot. Oh, actually, you're at 752 in version 6.5, 89 from 10.1 to 10.5. Binocular class, 233. That's with a binocular viewing book. Who wrote that? I forget. But I go through, some of them are city only, Mag 7 or brighter, and others are, fairly dim. You got to have a good dark sky to get a good binocular class out of it. 121 neighboring connections where two objects in the list are close to each other, and I put a little bar next to them. Let's see, do I have any in Virgo? Yes, this bar right here, it just shows that, okay, well, if you're just looking at the list, these 84, 86, 87, 89, and 90 are very close together. 84, 86, 88, 91, 87, 890, right? Just right in there, and it's all real tight, and there's just so much in there. So let's go back down here again. 201 galaxies, 415 open clusters, 88 globulars, 139 nebulas, and 32 asterisms, not counting constellations. So given, why am I'm stuck. Guys, I'm stuck.
Try clicking on your current slide and then moving your arrow forward.
It's not doing it. Let me get over here. There we go. Let's see if I can. There we go. So there's my initial parameters. Did I do it?
You did, yeah.
Mag 10, Northern Hemisphere, few abbreviations, but lots of details, useful information. And what is it and where is it? That was my key. And I've got a few people have some stuff to say about it. Joe LaLumia, he was a big fan. Best book to use with a go-to scope. I have never used a go-to scope, but I'm glad he liked it and some others. Alan referred to this. I'm using his quote in my current ad in the Reflector right now. But this handy pocket guide provides the reader with a lifetime list of great objects to observe. When I read this, I just got, chills. Every observer needs a good star atlas, but charts alone aren't of much value. Helping you decide what of the thousands that are plotted are worth looking at. And I provide that essential guide. Those are some big words from a big guy. And he's really a prolific author too. Love this from Thomas Epps, who's a merchant marine, and he takes his little scope out on shipboard. Alvin Huey really likes it as well. He says, if I want to know what the heck 1023 is, for example, I need to look it up in another reference, but I got it covered. And last but not least, this is my late friend Pete Nutini, who bequeathed me his scope. I am with my little scope. We're at a grass field airport in East Central Illinois, and just a wonderful night viewing. A lot of good planets up. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. And thank you so much for your attention. And if you have any questions, I'd be glad to try to answer.
So Peter, Tom here. So just a question. Obviously wrote the book, and you observe still a lot. What types of charts do you use in the book most often, you would say?
I have been, well, obviously I've been using my book for a long time. And I set it up by constellation. And what I do is I'll focus in on a constellation and try to fill in the detail, fill in what I've seen, just the big stuff. We all go for the messiers. I mean, they're fun, they're bright, they're beautiful, but some of the secondary stuff, there's dimmer stuff, the lesser seen, especially in the middle of Cygnus, for example, where it doesn't, the particular object like a star chain doesn't really stand out. Or a Buer object, Burke as well. You don't always see what they are until you spend some time really delving into it. And so I'll spend 10, 20, 30 minutes even on some of the different, on one particular object, trying to pull it out of the stars that are around it. That central area, again, of Cygnus is so packed. Let's see if I can. Yeah, let me go up there if I can. There we go. This area right in here from M29 and the Rocking Horse Cluster and Burke 86, to try to define and bring out these things. 6883 Buer 2 and this star chain. Star chains it's really pretty. It's about 30 stars and 30 arc minutes wide, I believe it is. Let's see. The star chain 6871 is 30 arc minutes, mag 5.2, and some double stars within it. And I enjoy going in like that. Of course, looking at Alberio and showing that to my wife when she comes out because she loves to see it. But I'll go back and check again for Basil 6, the fairy ring, and a few others. And I love the Patriotic Triple, which looks great in binoculars. And then in a telescope, it gets even closer. So that's what I like to do, is go deeper. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Anything else I can help anybody with this?
Your name, Bob.
Yeah, Peter, one thing I like is when you have dealing with one constellation and you have the arrows pointing out to the constellations near it. That's neat to have that. Sort of you can help you find your way to the next constellation.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for bringing that up. That is an important thing. Yeah, like what's right over here. There's Draco, Cepheus, Lacerta, Pegasus, and Lyra's right over there. So, and then I also include other objects that are in there. What do we got here? Oh, up here. Can you see my cursor?
Yes.
Yeah. So these two are in Cepheus. Well, Cepheus is right up there. And so I try to identify those nearby ones as much as possible. Let's go back to here. You can see that better. And, I've got Vulpecula, this carbon star right here that's in Vulpecula. That's way out in the west. That's pretty tough to find. I did find it once. And I'm still looking to see if I can find T Lyra again. I've only seen that once, but it's beautiful. I love V Aquila as well. As a carbon star goes, in the right conditions, that star is so deep, dark red and bloody red. It just tickles my fancy. And up here, because Cygnus is in the Milky Way, you get only really clusters and nebulas. But you get off into galaxies, and I just let my imagination roll in the galaxies, and just imagining that 30 million light years, 30 million years ago, somebody was looking back at us, they're seeing us now, look at them. So and some fun concepts in the size of the galaxy, of the universe, and the expanse. It's just mind-blowing. Every bit is, from 1,500 light years to 15 million light years. It's just the distances are just unimaginable. You know. Okay, pardon me for waxing poetic there, getting off track. Anything
Okay.
else?
Any other questions for Peter?
And if you know, if you do have a question and you know you want to ask me privately, certainly I've got my email, peter@barondesign.com. Feel free to email me at any time. Ask me about something I enjoy. I'll tell. You know what I mean.
I saw a couple people in the chat, Tom, that were apparently missed the order for Peter's book and wondered if we could either get another one or somehow they could get the book still.
Absolutely. I'll work something out there.